Hello and welcome back to Kanji Master. It's our first kanji for today. Kanji means to hold or to have. The onyomi reading is ji, as in like jisuru, which means to hold or maintain. And then it's the mo for motsuru moteru, to hold. Essentially it's this shape, and then temple. So the shape on the left here is nail bat, and the shape on the right here is temple. So if you just imagine that when you arrive at the temple, the priest says, "What are you holding?" And you say, "I'm holding this nail bat because I'm worried that someone's going to attack the temple." And maybe they do, and maybe you have to use this nail bat to defend the temple from, let's say, I don't know, ninjas. Ninjas is good. Okay, very good. Go on to the next one. The kanji looks very similar to the kanji we've just seen. This one means wait or to depend on. The onyomi reading is tai. The kunyomi reading is ma from matsu, meaning to wait. It's pretty simple to draw. It's just 1, 2, 3. So again, the shape on the right is the same as temple. The shape on the left is a character for a person, and then sort of something on top, like a drop or something. If you can imagine, again, we're at the temple. Maybe we were holding our nail bat before. Nail bat. We're holding it. What's it? And we drop it because the police show up after we've fought the ninjas and we've killed everyone. Amazing, we're a hero. The police show up and they say, "Wait, stop right there, hold it." And then you're a bit aggressive, so they put this kind of big thing on top of you to stop you, the person here, from moving. You have to wait until they say it's okay to go. That was a bit lame, but I mean, the shape's really basic, and you'll see this a lot. I'm pretty sure this is one of like the more frequently used kanji too, so hopefully it'll be okay. On to the next one. Kanji we're going to have a look at today means to polish or study or sharpen. The onyomi reading is ken, like as in kenshu, kenshuka, like training section, or kenshusei, trainee. And the to from togu is the kunyomi reading, meaning to sharpen or to grind. This is a slightly different kanji to the kanji you'll find for something like brush your teeth. This one could mean the same thing, but it's less commonly used. And we'll learn that kanji later. To draw it, it's quite simple. These are two shapes we're quite familiar with already. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you break it down, obviously you can see on the left-hand side we've got the kanji for stone. On the right-hand side we've got the radical that we use often for picnic table, if you remember the first time we saw it with this one. And it's open, draping things on the table, and we used it again recently. So if you can imagine the story, if you're trying to sharpen your sword or sharpen your senses, you get a stone and you place your sword between the stone and the picnic table and you rub it up back and forth to try and sharpen it. I'm not sure why, but your sensei says that picnic table is a very keen way to sharpen your sword, which is odd and you think it's strange, but you follow it because he's your sensei. That was odd. I think you'll see this often enough, especially if you consider what you're doing to be training, kanji training. And it shouldn't be too difficult to remember. The shapes are really basic. Okay, on to the next one. What we're going to learn today means center or middle. The onyomi reading is or, like chuo-sen. If you've been to Tokyo before, you've probably seen the chuo-sen. It's the central, means basically central line. It's one in London too, obviously they call it the central line. To draw it is quite simple. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not dissimilar to this one. Looks a bit like a lid of some kind, I guess. You've got the number 1, and you've got a person. So the central person, potentially you could think of. Again, we'll bring up that the idea of the central line in Tokyo, the chuo-sen. And in the middle of that line is a station, and in the middle of that station is a person, and that person's got a lid on their head, and they're very, I guess you could say this is sort of big, isn't it? So if you've got a lid, and then you've got the kanji for big in the middle of that, big lid on the person in the center of the central line in the middle of Tokyo. And that's it. You're going to see this shape again and again and again. In fact, you're going to see it again in just a second because the next kanji uses it too. So I think you'll be able to remember it quite easily. And that's it. Right, next we have the kanji for England or English. The A from Eigo is the onyomi reading, and the kunyomi reading is hanabusa, which is, you don't really have to worry about it. The hanabusa is like, I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but it's like the part of the flower that's between the stem and the actual bud, like and the petals, so that sort of green thing around the bottom. Yeah, you're not going to see it very often. Even if you do, it'll be a different kanji, so try not to worry about it. I've just written it down just for the sake of it. To draw this one, it's pretty easy. It's just line 1, 2, exactly the same as the one we just looked at. Next you draw 1, 2. So you got the center is the bottom, and at the top you've got flower. If you imagine that England is the center of the British Empire, and they've got such a thing as, you may have heard of the English rose before. English rose. It's quite a quintessential British thing, so you can imagine that. I think you'll have a hard time forgetting this one. I always did, because every time you write, let's do it now, A, go, Eigo, so English language, you'll write A, so I think you'll be pretty familiar with it pretty soon if you do any extensive writing, which you should be doing when you're doing kanji practice. And that's it, on to the next one. Last one we're going to look at today is the kanji for tea. It has that same shape as the one we looked at before. 1, 2, 3, and like flower, a hat, and then a tree. The onyomi reading is cha, as in ocha, meaning tea, or kocha, black tea, and the sa as in, how would I say, it's like sahanji, maybe? Sahanji is like commonly occurring thing. You know, bread, we would say like kind of bread and butter item or something like that would be more like the colloquial saying, but I guess this is tea, so tea is quite a common thing. If you're trying to remember it, it's just the radical for flower, the radical for that thing we call hat, and then a tree. So if you can imagine that the tea tree is a very fragile tree, so you just put a hat on it to protect it, and that's all you need to do to remember it. Pretty simple. There we go. Simple as that. And that's it for today. See you guys again tomorrow.